So you start having issues with your first AR-15 or your 30th, and now you're trying to figure out what is going on. Quick backstory, the reason why I'm making this video is I had a friend reach out, wanted help setting up his new rifle, first rifle he ever has, and asked if I wanted to help him set it up. I said, of course, I'm always about helping people. So he ended up coming over yesterday. We ended up getting his scope level. He's got an LPVO from Gunner here. This is a 1x10 LPVO and MOA, first focal plane. So we got this guy leveled on the rifle. Proceeded to head to the range right after, got set up, started to the zero, and I was behind on the spotting scope, and his zero was looking good, everything was good, and then all of a sudden we started running into issues where it was throwing around about 6 inches to the right or left. A couple different things. First in my mind was going to be the optic. That was the first thing that popped in my mind as to what is going on. The mounts, the brackets, something is loose. So we checked everything, and everything seemed fine. Everything was tight, but we couldn't figure it out. So what we ended up doing is taking off the LPVO and started shooting his iron sights. Iron sights, a little hard to, pinpoint, identify if there's something wrong with the rifle, but we ended up shooting and ended up grouping and zeroing, but still having a little issues. So I think there might be something going on with the rifle. We're not 100%, but today I'm going to eliminate one of those problems if it is his rifle, and that is going to be the LPVO. So I got my BCM Recce 16 out here with my LPVO set up. I'm going to remove this. We're going to mount this guy onto my setup, and then I'm going to head back to the range and test it out. When I start having issues, what I typically do, or someone else is having issues with their ARs, I go over the 8 cycles of function. The 8 cycles of function is going to kind of help you determine where that problem lies, if it is the rifle. So the 8 cycles of function is going to be feeding, chambering, locking, firing, unlocking, extracting, ejecting, and cocking. So with the 8 cycles of function, that is literally what the rifle is doing, from loading ammo down to shooting your round, down to extracting, ejecting, and cocking the rifle. So if you're caught up on one of those issues, for example, you put in a magazine and you're trying to chamber a round and it is not chambering, could be a potential magazine problem, or you're having multiple failure to feed issues. One of those problems could potentially be the magazine, have a bad spring, whatever the case is. But that is how I identify if I have an issue on the rifle. I go through the 8 cycles of function, which category or which categories does that issue fall into, and then I can slowly start diagnosing parts, testing different parts, swapping parts out. But that is kind of my process. Sorry for the long explanation, but today I believe this is going to be the culprit. But again, I'm going to check this, throw it on my rifle, and we're going to eliminate this part of the equation to see if it is the optic or potentially something going on with this rifle. So without further ado, let's get this thing level, head to the range because it is starting to warm up here in Texas, and go get it zeroed. So stay with me. We'll be heading to the range here shortly. Got my targets down there. Try to get this thing on paper, and then we're going to try to zero it and then see if it's going to replicate those shots that just went way right or way left, to see if it's a scope or my friend's rifle, and then we'll go from there. So let's send a couple rounds downrange, get this thing zeroed, and see what it does. We are looking good. We're literally right above the diamond, so we're going to make our corrections. So So we are about an inch right and an inch high. So we're gonna make those adjustments real quick and go from there. But I do have the camera rolling on the big one so you guys can kind of see the impacts. Start there. Alright, send another one. Alright, so we did make corrections, and I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but we are in the right around the same spot. So let's do another correction. We'll do exactly what we did. So we went 1 MOA down and 1 MOA left, and it didn't do anything. So let's give it a shot. 1, 2, 3, boom. Left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so that is smack dab dead center in the middle. So now what we're going to do is I am going to do some groupings. So we're going to send 4 more rounds into that diamond, and then we'll see if there's any sort of crazy shift to the left or to the right. But I would say right now this is zeroed, and again I need to shoot a couple more rounds to kind of confirm that, but we're gonna shoot some more rounds to see what happens. Alright, let's head down and check it out. Alright, so here we are. So first round impacted right here, and then I made some corrections. Second round impacted one of these two, made more corrections, and then we got a dead center smack dab in the middle. Then we proceeded to take 5 shots, which landed right in here, or 4. I think it might have been 4 shots, but 1, 2, 3, and then I think it threw one up here. Alright, so for this I did put the camera down near the target so you guys can actually see the impacts. So that way you're along for the experience of diagnosing or testing out the scope to see if it is the scope or it is his rifle where the issue lies. Let's shoot all those little diamonds and circles, and we'll group about probably 5 rounds per. Let this thing cool down in between and go from there. Alright, so first grouping is done. We'll let this guy cool down. I think I only loaded 4 rounds on that one. Barrel's not hot. Let's send some more rounds downrange. For a second there, I thought we were going to do pretty well, because we had those 2 hit on top of each other and then kind of threw that round a little left. And this is way better than what it was doing yesterday. Yesterday we had rounds going like 5 inches, or I think it was either 5 to 6 inches, right around that range. Super far right or super far left. But yeah, we'll keep shooting. We'll shoot as much as we can. We'll probably go through this ammo here, let this barrel cool down in between, and then just kind of take an overall picture at what it looks like when we're done. All right, let's hit the center on the round targets. All right, let me go get some water because it's hot. It's hot. It's hot out here for a shooter. It's a little warm, but we'll be all right. All right, we're going to transition down to the bottom left circle. Helps if I load a magazine. Now we're going to transition to the bottom left circle. Do another full round group there. All right, that one wasn't actually that bad. All right, let's let this thing cool down for a bit. So we let the barrel cool down a little bit, back to normal temps. We're going to transition to the next target and do another 4 rounds and see what it does. That one actually did pretty decent. Alright, we're looking all right. So looking good. Those 2 top ones are decent. Like, I'll take it. Kind of thinking it might be his rifle, is my guess. Could be that barrel that he has on there, but if that's the case, swap out a barrel and might help. All right, we're gonna move over to the right side target, top left diamond.
What an idiot!
You can see shit. So either that one's in the same hole, or so I'm gonna go down real quick. We'll let this thing cool down and check out that target real quick. So there we go. Now I can't tell. All right, so there we go. That just proved our theory that it could be the Optic. Now I don't know if this is 2 holes or if it went in the same hole, but that looks like 3 holes to me. But this one does look like it might have had another one fly through there, but man, I'm gonna have to play back the footage super slow-mo when I get home and just see if that round, or if I can see where that round potentially impacted off the camera down that I got set up that you guys can see on the screen, because I can't tell that last grouping that we just did if that round went in that same hole or in that same area, or if it just flew somewhere else. So yeah, let's keep shooting. And we're smack dab in the middle on that one. That's actually looking really good. I actually moved up a little bit so I could distinguish the rounds. All right, it is the next day. I'm gonna close out this video and go over our findings for all the data that we collected yesterday at the range. As you guys seen, this Optic actually did pretty well. Now, my BCM, which what this was mounted on top of, is not a fan of the M855, and I typically get about a 2 to 2.5 inch group out of those green tip rounds. It prefers the 7.7 grain, so I call it the bougie rifle because it just likes the expensive stuff. So I'm editing this video and I noticed that I keep saying 2 MOA, and I'm talking about my BCM being a 2 MOA rifle. That is not the case. I don't know why I'm saying 2 MOA, but in here, so I got the 2 targets right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move you guys here in just a second. We're going to go through. I'm going to put the calipers on each one of these rounds, or majority of them, kind of give you an idea on what kind of grouping size that we did to diagnose my buddy's optic. But all these, I just measured it and just to double check myself, but all these are coming in around 1 to 1.5 on average. I think we had one grouping that was like 2 MOA maybe, but let's check it out real quick. All right, so I got my calipers here. So we'll start off with the first grouping. So that is coming in around 1.9 MOA. And then that one's about a 1.5. This one you guys didn't see on camera, but that one's coming in at around 1. Those last groupings we did, 1, 1.2. So yeah, so you can see that this is probably our widest group right here, and that's coming in at 2.3 MOA. That is probably our biggest group right there. And then moving over to the other target, which this target actually came in really good, or did really well, I want to say. This is sub MOA, sub MOA, .4, 1.1, and 1.2. So as you guys seen, like with me measuring the calipers, like all the groups are pretty consistent, like coming in at on average about a 1.2 MOA. Like I said, that one was our widest group at like 2.2 MOA. So yeah, there you have it. So I just wanted to show you guys on camera so you guys see the full picture. Just wanted to clarify that. So back to the video. This optic did well, so we can take this out of the equation. I know that it is not the optic. We actually put way more rounds through than you guys seen on video. I just didn't want to make you guys sit there and watch all the rounds. So, but that one flyer that we did have on that top left diamond, I actually came back, reviewed the footage, and as you guys seen in the slow-mo, it actually went through the same exact hole, like almost perfectly. So that threw me for a little loop. So I was like, oh, it did it again. But it didn't. We couldn't recreate that same issue that we were having when I went to the range with my buddy. We didn't have any crazy deviation at like 6 inches or 5 inches. Everything was pretty consistent, coming in around 2 to 2.5 inch groupings. So I can say with the fact that that is not the optic. So the next step, we're going to take a closer look at his rifle. Two possibilities. What I think the issue could be is either going to be ammo or something to do with his barrel. Now, we were using M855 green tip ammo when we went to the range to have him zero, and that could be a potential issue. The M855 round was technically designed for 1 in 7 twists for military standard rifles, and his rifle is a 1 in 8 twist. Now, technically, it's supposed to do better in 1 in 8 twist rifles just because you're getting an extra rotation, stabilizing that round as it's coming out of the barrel. But you never know, it could just not like that extra rotation or that type of round. So he is getting some different ammo. He's getting some 77 grain, I want to say, and we're going to test that to see if that could potentially solve the issue. The second possibility is going to be his barrel. His barrel, there could be something going on where the barrel nuts may be a little bit loose, not torqued to spec, who knows. So the next time we're gonna pull out his barrel, we're gonna check his barrel, make sure everything's good. We're gonna use a max field headspace gauge just to test the headspace, if that's an issue, and then just make sure everything's good, clean it up, retorque it to spec, and then go back out and see if we can recreate that issue that we were having on that range. And then talking about the 8 cycles of function, obviously that did not apply in this scenario, but I just wanted to cover that in the earlier video. So that way, if some of you guys, if that helps you out, or if you didn't know about the 8 cycles of function and you're getting into the AR world, that way you can kind of diagnose if you have any issues at home with your rifle. If you guys watching had any of the issues that you've seen today, just a crazy round flying 6 inches to the right or left, go down in the comment section and let us know. And if you were able to fix it, let us know what helped you solve that issue. You could potentially help us out diagnose his rifle. I do want to get his rifle up and running so that way he can enjoy it and get out to the range. But that is all I have for you today. If you have not subscribed, go down and hit that subscribe button. We got 2 awesome gun builds coming up and a lot of cool stuff coming up on this channel. Thank you guys for watching. Stay safe out there, shoot straight, and I'll see you guys on the next one.